Welcome back to Fat Boss TV. Today we're looking at the first boss you'll be fighting next expansion, which is Talok.
So being the first boss within Uldir, you're probably expecting Talok to be an easy and an uninvolved encounter like we've seen with other first bosses.
Let me guess,
but this
it's
one
not.
is slightly different.
What?
This three-phase encounter is all about maximizing space within the room before you become overrun with blood patches whilst you dodge one-shot abilities. So let's jump straight into the encounter from the start and we'll show you all the way through.
It's the same
So the
room.
most important ability to counter in this phase is the Plasma Discharge. On a timer, 3 players in the raid will get a debuff, and after 3 seconds they'll begin to deal ticking damage to anyone within their circle animation around them, whilst they begin to drop 4 blood patches. These patches deal large ticking damage to anyone who stood within them, and they never go away. Now, as the encounter room at this point isn't all that big, and the patches are rather large, we found it important to have these patches as stacked as possible on the left-hand side of the room. Whilst testing, you could actually stack new patches on top of old ones, but it did require large spot healing, so it's probably not a good idea for live. Now, although these patches last forever, they can be cleared away every single time the boss reaches 100% energy. At this point, he'll begin to cast Cudgel of Gore at the current tank. After this long cast, he'll charge towards the tank and slam the ground, leaving his weapon behind. Not only does this clear nearby patches, but it also deals large drop-off damage to anyone within 30 yards, pretty much one-shotting anyone who's too close. So every time this ability was cast, we had our tank stand within the patches and move away as the boss charges. Meanwhile, the stacked raid moves slightly from the charge location to reduce, or if you're far enough you can completely remove, the drop-off damage.
So basically what happens, just so everybody's on the same page, is that there are circles that you get, and you need to run out of the raid, and then the boss will charge onto the tank, and if the charge is on the circles, it despawns the circles. That's what happens.
After he's done this ability and walked back to the raid, at some point he will go and retrieve his weapon before he reaches 100% energy again. When he charges over to do this, this will deal damage to anyone in his path as well as knocking them back, before then just returning to the tank. The raid, mainly melee players, need to watch out for this charge because it does deal a large amount of damage and you can be knocked back into more blood pools, which might finish you off. The only other ability to keep an eye out for is Sanguine Static. The boss will cast this on a player and then send out lines of blood towards them, and if you're hit by these, you're knocked back. This hits pretty hard, but it's the knockback that is the biggest problem, as again, you could potentially land in blood and it could kill you off. This ability is, however, pretty easy to deal with. Like Wake of Flame on Agrimar, we had the fixated player move to the side of the raid so that the majority of the raid didn't even need to move. Sanguine Static can, however, target players with the Plasma Discharge.
So you just don't stand behind the red shit.
So whilst they're out dropping their blood patches everywhere, they could also be hit by the lines. There's not really much you can do about this, just spot heal those players just in case they're knocked back into patches they've just dropped. But that's it for this phase. After you've dealt with those abilities and got the boss to 60%, he'll move into the middle of the room and begin to take 99% less damage. He'll also spew blood across the middle of the room, so as he transitions, make sure you're not stood there. At this point, you'll then realise that you're actually on an elevator as you begin to slowly descend into the rest of the instance.
During this phase, you have 2 different types of ads to deal with. Volatile droplets will fixate on random players within your raid and explode whenever they come into contact with any player at all. By stacking in this phase, it causes all the ads just to funnel in a straight line towards the raid. This makes it incredibly easy for one of your tanks to simply soak them and remove them from the fight. The Coalesce Bloods, however, are the most important. These guys must be picked up by the tank, and while they're alive, they'll consistently spawn Bloodstorms. These work similar to the Plasma Discharge patches.
So you just kill the
tank
ads.
must slowly move the ads around the platform, making sure that they maximize the area that the raid has to play in. Meanwhile, DPS need to nuke the ads down before it becomes too overwhelming and you run out of space.
So here's what's happening here. You've got the coalesced ads that you need to just like damage down as melee, right? And you're like rotating around. And then these ads run towards a random player, and then the tank stands in front of it and absorbs the explosion whenever this mob hits its closest target. So it's the exact same as the Heroic Beth-to-like ads that would spawn in Firelands.
Of course, being stacked so the volatile droplets can be effectively soaked away from the raid by another tank. Once the elevator has finally reached the bottom, the boss will become active again and knock everyone off the elevator. At the exact same time, any pools that are left in the elevator area will despawn, and also half the time kill off any ads that are left over. We're not sure exactly what Blizzard are going to do for this for live, if the ads are going to die to this stomp or not, because on half our attempts they just didn't. But if you do transition with the ads, it's so important that you kill them first, because dealing with a boss in this last phase with all of his mechanics, as well as having to move all these ads around the room just to make sure that the puddles are in the right place, is definitely a bit chaotic.
Makes
so kill
sense.
off the ads first, and then you can swap to the boss to begin the phase. The fight now goes back to phase 1, but you have a much larger room to work in.
Okay.
We decided to place the plasma discharge patches behind the raid from this point onwards, and slowly rotated the boss around the outside of the room. As for the Cudgel of Gore charge on the tank, we pretty much ignored the patches unless they were easy to get to, and just made sure the boss was always more than 30 yards away from the raid. We spent a good 5 minutes in this last phase multiple times, and still was not even close to running out of room.
That's a long
fight. Now, the
fight.
only difference in this final area is that the volatile drops will continue to spawn around the edges of the room. Again, we just had a single tank go out and soak them, but
Green's gonna get them.
Anyone can.
Easy.
They're not really that lethal. But that's all it is for this last phase.
Okay.
It's almost identical to phase 1, except you have a much bigger room, and you have to soak a couple of little ads every now and then.
That's not hard at
But
all.
let's leave some feedback. What do we think of this encounter?
So first bosses are very important. You've got to find a balance in making the fight relatively easy, so like new people can come in and still experience the raid, but you've also got to set a good tone for the rest of the instance, and we think they've actually done a particularly good job here. The majority of first bosses are primarily static and require you just to deal with basic mechanics, like think of Nithendra, Scorpion, or maybe to a lesser extent, Grassy Wellbreaker as well. But this boss having multiple phases and an elevator ride between two rooms, that's just so fantastic. It looks amazing. I'd say that the first room itself is like a perfect size, like our first pool.
Do you guys care about the feedback, or do you want to just go right to the, what do you call it? Right to the next boss? Okay, nobody cares about that? Yeah, okay. So here's basically the way that I see it, right? So he spawns at the beginning of the fight. We'll just look at what happens. So he spawns. You have to get these debuffs. You take him out of the raid. It's pretty simple. The guide was made before... Wait. Before huge mechanics were added? Wait, what? Okay, well then what's the most recent guide? I'm confused. The beam isn't there. Wait, what beam? Is there a better guide that I can use? Uldir guide Talok. Let me see if this works. 6 days ago. Oh, well, maybe I should just use these. Yeah, I mean, let's see what this one is.
Hi, I'm Hazel, and this is a guide to the Talok raid boss in Uldir on normal and heroic difficulty. This is the first boss of the first raid of BFA. He's a Titan construct that's supposed to be guarding this place and keeping the scary stuff in. That's clearly going great. Some first bosses are a bit of a gimme, and this is not one of them. The key to phase 1 is space management, which is a fancy way to say put your goo with the other goo. Keep it all together. Plasma discharge will target several people with these dark red circles, and they've got about 4 seconds to get out before they start dropping blood pools. Have a designated side of the room to put those in, keep them as tight together as possible, and if you have a big defensive cooldown, consider using it to run your discharge right on top of the existing blood.
Discharge?
Do that at your own risk, though. This stuff hurts.
Okay.
You'll face a direction and cast Sanguine Static, which fires out these blood waves. Those do damage and knockback if they get you, which is even more embarrassing if it kicks you into a blood pool.
That's very different.
Cudgel of Gore is the big tank mechanic, although it's also kind of an everyone mechanic, so don't skip ahead yet. He'll put this arrow over one of the tanks, and after 4.5 seconds, charge their location and smash down his weapon. That clears all bloodstorms in 18 yards, so the tank should run it into a filled part of the room to clear space.
Smart.
It also does massive raid damage that drops off with distance, so if you're not the tank, you want to be as far from that as you can get.
That's
Laying
smart.
down a raid marker for the blood drop location, and then a safe zone to stack during Cudgel on the opposite side make this easy to coordinate. 20 seconds or so after dropping his weapon, he'll regret his decision and use Retrieve Cudgel. The boss charges to the location of his weapon, doing big damage and a knockback to anyone in his way. Don't be in his way. At 60% health, we move into phase 2. The floor starts descending, and this is officially an elevator boss. You can fall off the edges, and I don't recommend it. During this part, Talok is powered down, taking 99% less damage and having a little break. He won't attack, so don't worry about him for a bit. Uldir defensive beams will crisscross the elevator shaft. Look down around the edge of the platform, and you'll see them coming. They'll pass through the platform as you descend, and they're devastating if you get hit, so check where they are and be somewhere safe. That gets trickier when you factor in the main elevator mechanic, which is a fun set of new ads. Coalesced bloods will spawn and leave blood patches under them as they move. A tank should pick them up and slowly drag them around the border of the platform while everybody nukes them down. Healing and ad positioning is way easier in this phase if everyone stacks up, so form a tight group near the edge of the platform, keep an eye on incoming beams, and move together. Volatile droplets will fixate a player and ooze towards them, which should be towards the stack if everyone is grouped. When they touch any player, they'll pop and disappear, doing some damage in a 5-yard knockback. The off tank or
so
anybody that's free and can take the hit should run forward into the ad pocket before it reaches the grid.
You get knocked off the elevator.
Make sure that you're at least 5 yards clear of other players and also the edge to avoid kicking yourself or your friends to their deaths. The elevator phase is by far the most difficult part of this fight, so if you can get through that, you're doing great. When the elevator is almost touched down, you can jump off the last bit yourself to avoid getting stunned. Once you're at the bottom, the boss wakes up and you enter the final phase. This is basically just phase 1, but with more space, and the fixate ads from the elevator will continue to spawn. Keep in mind that you can stun them, and that the damage from running into them is honestly fine as long as you're topped off in health and not bursting them near stacks of players. Aside from that, keep your hat on, group up the blood, avoid the cudgel of gore, and you've got yourself a dead boss. This fight is mechanically identical between normal and heroic, which should make this a reasonable fight for normal guilds and pugs to farm on heroic for loot. Once your raids learned how to manage the blood pools, the biggest thing will be the DPS check of killing ads quickly. So that is Talek in Uldir. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you out, please consider leaving me a like. Check out my channel for more raid guides and other WoW stuff, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye!
That's good, we have the squirrel in there.
Full day.
You know, just keep things a little exciting. So this is obviously, basically he throws the hammer, he gets the hammer, you don't need to be near the hammer, you're dead, and then he gets all the way down, and then he does the balls, you don't get hit by those unless you do get hit by those, which is okay, just make sure you don't get knocked off, and then there's the other guys, you gotta kill those, then you come back, he does the same thing with more balls. So this is a pretty easy fight, okay? Obviously there's like a couple of skill things that are going to be required in terms of like positioning him as like a triangle with like the boss, the hammer, and then the raid. But besides that, it seems like it's going to be pretty simple, pretty straightforward, pretty easy. What's the next boss? These guides are really good. Mother. Okay, Mother. Well, that's convenient because that's the next video.
Hi, I'm Hazel, and this is a guide to the Mother raid boss in Uldir on normal and heroic difficulty.
I actually thought Mother was like a placeholder name because it sounded so fucking stupid. Turns out it's not.
As far as I can tell, she's not the mother of anything in particular, that's just her name. This is a unique fight that's going to be an absolute mess in unorganized pugs, but easy enough once you've got a group with a plan. The room is split into 3 parts. When Mother is active in a chamber, it builds energy on its little boss frame here, and when that caps, she lights up the chamber with Cleansing Purge. That does basically lethal damage, and you should not be there anymore. You've only got 3 chambers, so the key to this fight is getting the most out of each one without overstaying your welcome. More on that in a bit. The boss herself will cast Sanitizing Strike, which is the big tank mechanic. That's a heavy frontal cone attack that stacks up a debuff, making Sanitizing Strikes hurt more. Only the tank should be in front of her, and assuming they can't avoid it, tanks will want to swap after a couple of stacks. I'd say to aim for a swap on 2 to 3 stacks and gauge your best number from there.
It's good that Blizzard likes to use new mechanics.
Purifying Flame will spawn under most players, doing a 3-yard explosion and leaving behind some temporary fire. You've got time to move, so scooch out of that as soon as it spawns and you shouldn't take any damage.
Void.
Wind Tunnel is a strong pushback that will drag everyone in the chamber towards either the left or right wall. That wall gets lit up with fire, so you need to run against the pushback unless you wanted a bad tan. The direction of the Wind Tunnel alternates back and forth. After one ends, stand on the half of the room that you were just getting pushed towards and you'll be prepared for the next one.
So it alternates.
Back to the chambers. They're separated by defense grids, and there's 3 things to know about these. 1, they break line of sight for both healers and DPS. AoE spells were able to clip through on beta, but that may or may not work on live.
It probably will.
2, when you walk through, you trigger a burst of raid damage to everyone. That raid damage is pretty serious, so you cannot just run everyone through at once. Obviously, you need the whole raid through before the countdown finishes and nukes them, but it needs to be done a few players at a time. 3, every time someone goes through, a remnant of corruption ad spawns in the chamber they just entered. Those spam Clinging Corruption, which is interruptible and puts out a raid-wide dot if it gets off. Due to those ads, you want to send through players with frequent interrupts first, basically melee. Because the wall breaks line of sight, it's a good idea to send at least 1 healer in pretty early to babysit those guys. So fairly early on, start sending people through in set groups of 2 or maybe 3. Try to time that for when healers aren't busy fighting winds or dodging fire. Once you're through, put all of your damage and interrupts into the ads. The tank and their healers should be last through with the boss, and they have to be out before the energy bar caps and triggers Cleansing Purge. When everyone's in the second chamber, you do it all again and start trickling people into the third. When Mother walks into the second room, she activates the Uldir defensive beams. Those are a set of light bars that slide through the room, doing awful damage if you get hit. There will be a missing one, and you pass through at that point. Do not try to squeeze through the other bars. You will only fit in the open space of the missing beam.
That's
badass.
Care what
you play, it's not happening. In the final chamber, depleted energy causes her to take 100% more damage. That's a great place to pop Lust with your cooldowns, and it's a good reason to not linger in earlier chambers if you can safely move ahead. At this point, just keep doing mechanics and finish her off before she lights up the last chamber. Like Talik, Mother's mechanics are the same going from normal to heroic. The worst part of this fight is just figuring out the pass-through order and making sure everyone knows when they go. It should be a piece of cake in a guild raid and a royal pain in the butt in pugs. Have fun.
Okay.
So that is Mother in Uldir. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you out, please consider leaving a like for me. Check out my channel for more raid guides and other WoW stuff, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye!
So you have to alternate her through all 3 of the different areas, and then there are these ads that spawn. I actually don't understand entirely how these ads are supposed to work. Defense grid. Passing through a defense grid inflicts damage. Additionally, embodiment of contamination is summoned after 3 seconds. Yeah, that's the only thing that's a little bit confusing to me. But everything else I think is pretty much simple. And I think that I'll understand it as soon as I see it. It's just I think I need to kind of see it. And the beams, dude, I really like these beams, man. These beams are fucking funny. Let me see if I can show you guys what they do. Here we go. And watch the first time that her raid goes into it. This is actually really funny, too.
Into the third. When Mother walks into the second room, she activates the Uldir defensive beam.
Look at her frames. Look at her raid frames, watch.
Go again and start trickling people into the third.
And
when Mother walks into the second room, she activates the Uldir defensive beams. Those are a set of light bars that slide through the room, doing awful damage.
So you can obviously blink through it and probably leap through it too if it's every 0.2 seconds, but maybe not. It depends on if you're lucky or not. So you want to make sure that you just go through the little circle there. It's just, this is an example of something that's just like Siegecraft or Black Fuse on Mythic back in Siege of Orgrimmar. So this is also a pretty easy mechanic too, as long as you kind of are used to the mechanics. Like after you've played the game for a long time, you start to see the same mechanics resurface over and over and over. Okay? The next one, Fetid Devourer, because that's what it shows right here. Fetid Devourer? Okay. Alright, let's go to the next one. Third room is a rotating beam. Yeah, well, that's probably going to be easy to deal with. And she also takes more damage in the third room, too, so that should be easy, too. There are beams that come from above. You got to watch out for those. I mean, I think that's something that you can kind of figure out on the first try. Right? So you see it, it's like, okay, fuck, I got to move out of it.
Hi, I'm Hazel, and this is a guide to the Fetid Devourer raid boss in Uldir on normal and heroic difficulty. This little guy was made from the discarded remains of lethal experiments performed on Loa. Titans are mean. Like, they didn't specifically stitch them together, but they made the pieces. The main tank mechanic here is Thrashing Terror and Terrible Thrash. Basically, every 4th melee hit he does has got some punch to it. The Thrashing Terror buff will stack up to 3 before he does the Terrible Thrash, so you know when it's coming and can use some mitigation. If you're running out of mitigation to use, then it's time to swap with the other tank while you recharge.
Okay.
Malodorous Miasma is a dot that healers should keep an eye on. It does kind of wimpy damage over 18 seconds, then evolves into a Putrid Paroxysm, which is shorter but much nastier. Neither of those can be dispelled, so just heal through it. If it's on you, consider using a defensive cooldown to help with the end bit.
Okay.
At 100 energy, the Fetid Devourer will do a Rotting Regurgitation. That's a cone attack that will knock you back and probably smells awful. If you stay pretty close to the boss, it's easy to sidestep and avoid it.
Okay.
The room has these alcoves along both sides. Now and then, a random pair of those will become active waste disposals, pouring down sludge that will give you Malodorous Miasma if it gets you. That stacks, by the way, which you extra don't want. There's a warning when the waste disposals open, so just run out of the alcoves when that happens. If you have raid timers from an add-on like DBM, that will let you plan ahead.
Doesn't even do anything.
After the waste disposal finishes, it leaves behind a Corruption Corpuscle ad. Those cast Enticing Essence and need to be killed before they finish the cast. We only ever saw 2, so send melee to the close one and range should prioritize the far one.
Smart.
If the Enticing Essence cast gets off, the boss will stomp over, use Consume Corruption to eat them, and heal up. At 50% health, the boss enrages with Fetid Frenzy. He does 25% more damage, but takes 50% more, which kinda sucks for him. Save your Time Orb or whatever for 50% or later, and tanks will need to be even more careful with the Terrible Thrash. On normal, that's it. On heroic, he gets a new ability called Shockwave Stomp. That one's unavoidable, it does raid damage and knocks everybody way back. If you position yourself between the boss and a side wall for that, you'll get stopped by the wall instead of being punted all the way to the last expansion. On heroic difficulty, the Corpuscle ads also heal for 1% every other second while casting Enticing Essence. That's not very much, you probably wouldn't have noticed, and it doesn't really matter. But now you know.
Okay.
So that is the Fetid Devourer in Uldir.
You have to prioritize
Thanks for watching. If this video helped you out, please consider leaving me a like. Check out my channel for more raid guides and other WoW stuff, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye!
So let's look at how this guy is supposed to work. Yeah, can we time out the cringe kids, man? It's really kind of annoying. Anyway, let's see. Basically, he does a lot of tank damage, and on top of that, what else does he do? He does a cone. You have to move out of it. Pretty simple. And then also you need to move out of the circles that he does, and then kill the ads. That seems pretty simple too. This is, I would assume, the traditional tank and spank fight. That damage matters a lot. I've noticed this with 2 bosses now, 3 bosses really, if you include Talok. It feels like Blizzard they're trying to get players in the mindset of not using heroism at the beginning of a pull. I don't know, but that's kind of what it seems like to me. What is the next boss? Is it Ziva Kaz? Is that it? Aesthetically, which is the best boss in Uldir? We'll see whenever all of them are done. Okay, Vakaz, okay.
Hi, I'm Hazel, and this is a guide to the Zekvaz Herald of Inzoth raid boss in Uldir on normal and heroic difficulty. This is a 3-phase fight with a lot going on, and I could easily see this becoming a roadblock in progression for some guilds. Titan Spark is random damage that the Titan discs will zap out onto a few people at a time. There's no dodging or avoiding that, so healers will just need to deal. Might of the Void is a combo of moves that heal.
The projection of Cthulhu? Oh! Oh, I see. Okay.
So healers will just need to deal. Might of the Void is a combo of moves that he'll unleash in his current tank. It's basically a shatter in a Void Lash sandwich. Void Lash starts it, which reduces healing taken by half.
Okay.
He follows it with a Shatter, which increases physical damage taken, and then seals it off with a second Void Lash, which will make the tank immune to healing if they took the whole combo. Either A, use big cooldowns and tank swap right after the combo, or B, do the tank swap in the middle of the Void Lash sandwich so that nobody has to eat both slices of Void bread.
Alright, that's
simple. The Void Lash is a pretty big frontal cone, so nobody except the active tank should be anywhere near the front of the boss.
Okay,
At
that's
100
bad.
energy, the boss uses Surging Darkness. That's basically a series of shadow donuts that you need to get out of. They happen pretty quick and do devastating damage if you get caught, so stay on your toes until they're done. It's easier to dodge if you're in the close to mid-range zone, since those donuts aren't quite as thick. Everything that we've looked at so far happens through the whole fight.
And then
a short ways in, Phase 1 will officially start and bring in some new abilities.
This is Protectors of the Endless.
Targets random players and zaps them with a Cthulhu chain lightning kind of deal. If anybody is within 10-ish yards of the target when it goes off, it'll leap to them, and each leap it makes does more damage. Targets should get out of the group, and everybody should give them some space. Silithid Warrior ad spawn in this phase, and those guys ignore threat. They'll chase random people and chomp them with their jagged mandible bleed. Anyone with a Silithid friend should bring it onto the boss so that people can cleave it down more quickly. At 65%, the boss enters Phase 2. No more I-Beam or Silithid Warriors to deal with now, but you'll still have Shadow Donuts and Void Lash sandwiches.
Well, you got these attack
I wrote this before lunchtime, don't judge me. This phase gets new ads with the Nerubian Void Weavers. Those spam cast Void Bolt, which you can interrupt and you really should. They can be stunned as well as kicked, so use what you have to prevent the Void Bolts while you kill them. Roiling Deceit is a dot that goes onto random...
I understand that you guys are physically uncomfortable whenever anybody makes an offhand joke that doesn't reference some sort of 3 levels of removal Twitch meme that happened 4 years ago. I get it. I understand. You think that you're better than this. I see you. You have been acknowledged.
Players spawning an ominous cloud when it expires. If you get the dot, run away from the group to drop the cloud somewhere out of the way. Do be careful of Shadow Donuts while you're out there. Those clouds stick around, and if anybody touches them, they spawn Guardian of Yogg-Saron ads. Those ads will do raid damage at 100 energy or when they die, and they're completely avoidable, so just don't touch the clouds.
2 old gods in the same fight!
The boss moves into Phase 3. Or so I'm told by the Dungeon Journal, since none of my raid testing groups made it that far. Void Weavers and Cloud Dots will stop, Shadow Donuts and Void Lash sandwiches will continue, and there's one big new thing to deal with. Overload ramps up the random damage from Titan Spark in this phase, which isn't the big new thing. That would be the Orb of Corruption. From the sounds of it, it falls from the sky and needs to be intercepted by a player to prevent big raid damage. That player gets 100% health, damage, and healing for some amount of time, and at the end of it, they're mind-controlled with Will of the Corruptor. While mind-controlled, they cast a kickable fear called Psionic Blast that needs to be interrupted. On normal difficulty...
I love how Blizzard So, you know what? I'm going to finish this, okay? Sorry.
You can break those MCs with damage, so stun, CC, and damage your friends out. On Heroic, the mind control lasts until death and triggers an 8-yard AoE fear called Void Whale when they do die. Hopefully by the time it gets to that, you've nearly killed the boss, because otherwise it's going to get really messy. Other changes to the fight on Heroic: the Jagged Mandible from the Silithid Warrior adds in Phase 1 will reduce movement speed by 50%, making it a bit slower to grip them up. And the Nerubian Void Weavers from Phase 2 gain Shadowbind, which means they cannot be gripped or otherwise moved. And that is Zekvaz in Uldir. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you out, please consider leaving it a like. Check out my channel for more raid guides and other WoW stuff, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye!
So what I think is funny about this is that Blizzard... So let's look at what he does. So this has the Manaroth attack, okay? The Titan Sparkers, which is random damage. Let's see, the Frontal Cone, yeah, this is basically just Manaroth. And Surging Darkness is the circles. That's exactly the same as Protectors of the Endless. The I-Beam is the same as Cthulhu and Undasta. These ads, there's tons of different bosses that have these ads on them. It's hard for me even really to think of one specifically. The caster ads, I mean, there's a million fights that have that too. I can't think of one specifically. Ominous Clouds, let's see. Oh yeah, you need to run out with that. Pretty simple. And let's see, what are the other? Yeah, these are all copy pastas. And Phase 3, this is new. This thing right here is pretty much new here. So what happens is, I believe like his like circle empowered AoE, it becomes empowered, and then you have to run out and run back in more quickly, which I do think is kind of interesting. It's a new iteration on an old mechanic, which is good, right? It's definitely good. And then Will of the Corruptor is the exact same mechanic as you would have in what's his name? Cho'Gall. In Cho'Gall, it was the exact same thing. And as soon as you got mind controlled, you do more damage, but if you died, you know, obviously, you know, you'd be hostile to everybody. So this is pretty much the same thing. Grim Batal, yeah, there's multiple ones, but yeah, it's just kind of funny to see that. Cthulhu and... Oh my god! That is Cthulhu in the background. What the fuck? Yo, that guy just saw that. I didn't even notice that. Oh my god. He's just chilling back there. Yogg-Saron also. That guy's an asshole. Nobody likes him. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Hi, I'm...
Vectis is the next one, right? Mr. Weird Mouthy Boy? Oh, is there, yeah. Give her a like. Yeah, I'll link. Actually, yeah, let me do this right now. This is her channel right here. And you guys can go subscribe to her channel and like all of her videos. Everybody go subscribe to her channel. She's obviously put a lot of work into these videos, and they're actually pretty good. So make sure to do that, okay? All right, next one is Vectis.
Hazel, and this is a guide to the Vectis raid boss in Uldir on normal and heroic difficulty. Lore-wise, this is basically what you get when you mix the Zandalari Corrupted Blood Plague with the Blood of G'huun. It grows teeth.
Not
Everyone
good.
will end up diseased in this encounter, and the best that you can do is just try to all get diseased somewhat evenly. The tank mechanic here is Evolving Affliction, which is a stacking dot that you'll want to tank swap for. Start with swapping on 2 or 3 stacks. It used to do more back on beta, but not everything makes it to live. This is honestly a bit of a sleeper fight for tanks. Omega Vector is the defining mechanic of this encounter. It's a 10-second disease that jumps to a new host when it expires, and there's no getting rid of it. Distance doesn't work, immunities don't work, death doesn't work. I don't know if anybody tried Hearthing out, but it probably doesn't get rid of it. When Omega Vector expires, it leaves behind a permanent stack of lingering infection, which makes you more vulnerable to nature damage. Multiple stacks of Vector go out at the start of the fight, and it only gets worse from there. Since you can't get rid of it, the key is to spread it out evenly. There's going to be a variety of ways to coordinate that, but the basic principles are moving away from the group if you have high stacks of infection, and staying clear of Vector victims if you currently have Vector yourself. You don't want to be getting multiple stacks of that. Otherwise, stay pretty closely grouped to help out with healing and offer yourself up as a host. So that's bouncing around and stacking up lingering infection on everybody. Vectis will cast Contagion, which is a raid-wide pulse of nature damage. You'll barely notice it early on, but as lingering infection piles up, it'll get scary and eventually require raid
nature damage. Okay.
Vectis will target a player with Gestate, and after a few seconds it'll stun them, do some AoE pulsing, and spawn a Plague Amalgam ad. If you get targeted, get a bit of space from the group while you can. Once you're stunned, it's everybody else's job to move away if they're still within 5 yards. You don't have to go far. The Plague Amalgam will repeatedly cast Immunosuppression, which is a raid-wide healing absorb. That sucks, especially with all the raid damage going around, so everyone needs to switch and kill the ad ASAP.
That's badass. That's new.
The boss turns into a puddle and we're into phase 2.
Alright.
You cannot damage the boss in this phase, so all of your powers should go into avoiding damage. Liquefy would be the boss puddle, and he's going to gloop across the room with some pretty good speed. Getting tagged by that gives you extra stacks of lingering infection, so do your best to dodge. He'll set up in a spot and use Blood Geyser, which spits lines of blood towards players. Those will also give you infection stacks if they hit you, and it's important to dodge those
So you just don't get hit by
the...
Oh, look at that idiot just got hit.
Red rings on the ground. Those have to be soaked, or else they spawn more Plague Amalgam ads. Only one person needs to get in each one, and it does a nice chunk of damage, so they should go in fairly healthy. If ads do spawn, they should be taken down immediately, but I have faith that as 2018 World of Warcraft raiders, we all know how to soak rings by now. After a while of that, he unpuddles and we're back to phase 1. That's the whole fight.
Not true.
The mechanics are exactly the same on Heroic as they are on Normal, but because this fight is such a gear check, it's probably still going to be a tough one early on. So that is Vectis and Uldir. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you out, please consider helping me out with a thumbs up. Check out my channel for more raid guides and other WoW stuff, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye!
That was a good one. That was a good one. I like that. Wipe tomorrow. No, that one's going to be easy. So basically, here's what he does. So this boss is called HIV, and he puts HIV and AIDS on every single player, and he puts ferocious AIDS on the tanks, so they can't really deal with his AIDS quite as often. And then he puts this circle on people that you need to move out of, and then there's the very, very bad ad. That's what his name is, the bad ad, the Plague Amalgam. And you just need to kill him so he can make everybody so they can't heal. And then he turns into a giant puddle of period blood that shoots out discharge at different members of the raid. So as you can see here, he's doing these different lines, and you need to make sure that you don't get hit by those. So as you can see, there we go. You saw that right there. That's what happens. So watch Mr. Priest here. That's a mistake. You don't do that. Why period blood? It felt like the right thing to say. And the boss is kind of, the boss is, I don't know, I think it would make sense. Let me see the next one. What's the next boss here? It is Zul Reborn. Does she have the guide for Zul Reborn? I'm pretty sure she doesn't. And so we'll have to go back to Fat Boss. Mother is of cause. Okay. No, not Zul, just Zul. Okay, let's see. Where are we at? Talok. All right, let me just minimize this here. Uldir guide. All right, full playlist, 8 videos, and we have Zulul. Okay.
Today we finish our boss coverage of Uldir with the 6th boss in the instance, which is Zul Reborn.
Yes, this 2-phase encounter feels like a real step up over the previous 5 bosses in the instance, and it appears to be the first fight where a particular class is almost required. Phase 1 is an ad management phase, and phase 2 is a burn phase, where you need to kill the boss off before you run out of platform to work with. Now with all of these boss previews, let's jump straight into phase 1.
So Zul in this phase will primarily cast Shadow Barrage. This deals damage to a random player in your raid. It's unavoidable and therefore just needs to be out-healed throughout the entire...
It's not barrage, it's barrage. How did he say it again?
Straight into phase 1.
So Zul in this phase will primarily cast Shadow Barrage. This deals damage to a random player in your raid. It's unavoidable and therefore just needs to be out-healed throughout the entire phase. Zul will, however, still melee hit, so you will need a tank to pick him up. More impactful is the Pools of Darkness. One of these pools will be up almost constantly throughout the fight. These pools do extremely large ticking damage to the entire raid until they despawn. However, if a player stands within it, the raid damage will be prevented, and instead the single player will take small bursty damage every 2 seconds.
Oh wow.
As these pools spawn randomly throughout the encounter space, we deemed it unviable to assign players to them, instead just had any players nearby go and soak them.
Alright.
Last to mention in Zul's toolkit is Dark Revelation. This 10-second debuff causes large raid-wide damage when it expires. It does, however, drop off with distance. As soon as a player receives the debuff, they'll want to move as far away from the raid as possible, right up against the edges. On top of the raid-wide damage, you'll also have 5 minion of Zul ads spawn from the debuff player. These ads will fixate and chase down a random player and causes all players within 5 yards of their target to be feared for 12 seconds.
This
fear is a curse, so it can be dispelled by shamans. You can, however, kill the ads by removing their Bound by Shadow buff. This is a large absorption shield, so you can just DPS it until it's removed, but it is a magical debuff, so you can just master spell it, which will instantly kill all 5 of the ads. On Heroic,
That's
you'll
why
have to deal
people
with
want
2
the
Dark
priest.
Revelation debuffs at the exact same time, so we simply countered that just by having 2 priests. You can also individually dispel the ads with things like Purge, which isn't ideal, but keep in mind the new Arcane Torrent works, so you could come up with some sort of rotation if you wanted. Next to talk about is the
What
main
else just have to be
ingredient of
OP
Phase
somehow?
1, which is the ads.
Great.
Now from the pool, you'll have all 3 different types of ads. You'll have a Crusher, a Blood Hexer, and 4 Krogs. The Crusher has a
Krogs.
frontal cone, so it must be tanked facing away from other players.
Okay.
But most importantly, it must be tanked away, or at least moved away from other mobs, before it reaches full energy, as it will cast Thrumming Pulse, buffing all mobs, including Zul, if they're within 30 yards, with a 50% damage increase for 40 seconds.
Oh, shit.
So although, of course, it is important that the guy is away from all other mobs before he does reach full energy, if any mobs that are nearby do happen to get the buff and they're very close to dying anyway, it's not too big of a
So
deal.
you
and of
cleave
course,
him
that way
down,
you will increase the
and
amount
then
of
you
damage
run
your
him
raid is
out
doing
whenever he's
because
about to get
everything's
full
stacked
energy.
up.
Simple.
Moving on to Blood Hexes, these also need to be tanked away from Zul because of their Congeal Blood. When cast, a single Ica ad will spawn directly underneath the Blood Hexer and will start travelling towards Zul. And if they reach him, they'll just heal him for a large amount. Now the Icas can be stunned, knocked back and gripped, so you'll want to make the most of that whilst you cleave them down.
It's pretty simple.
The only other ability you'll notice directly on the pool is their Blood Shard cast. This deals a burst of damage to the lowest health raid member, potentially killing that target if it's not interrupted. So it's important that interrupts are solid on these mobs just to prevent any random deaths. Last to mention is the bloodthirsty Krogs. These guys simply melee hit, so it's best to have these under Zul and just passively cleave them down. It is important, however, that you do not ignore these mobs, because 1, they heal themselves for 200% of the damage they deal, so if you're multi-dotting and cleaving on them isn't strong enough to kill them, they'll just never die. But more importantly, they do gain energy over a long period of time, and at 100%, they will explode and deal massive pulsing damage to the raid over 10 seconds.
61,000, so it's a wipe
order in which to
if one of
kill
those
them
gets
and
full.
how it works across the phase.
So as you've already seen, if you've been keeping a keen eye on the footage, we decided to tank the Crusher and the Blood Hexer away from Zul on one tank, moving them away 10 seconds or so after the pull, just before the Crusher gains 100% energy. Whilst the other would tank Zul and the Krogs in the middle of the room. DPS just focus down the Blood Hexer, then the Crusher, whilst multi-dotters slowly bring down the dogs. And this works great, but from this point onwards, the ads will now spawn in different but set orders. In more than one instance, you'll actually have 2 Blood Hexers up at the same time. Now the issue with these guys, which we haven't already mentioned, is that they do in fact have an aura. If 2 Blood Hexers are within 20 yards of each other, they will heal all enemies for 10% of their maximum health every 2 seconds, resulting in most cases a wipe if it heals the boss at any point. Having 2 of them is problematic because the tank with Zul cannot have a Blood Hexer because of the blob ad they spawn, whilst the tank away from Zul can't have 2 of them simultaneously because of the heal aura, and this can be fixed in 2 ways. One, which isn't ideal, is 3 tanking the fight, or the second option is just to use CC. Blood Hexers technically could be crowd controlled for the entire fight. You can use things like polymorphs, hunter's traps, all those sort of things.
That's
so you'll
easy.
want to CC one of them whilst you're killing the other, only breaking CC on the second one and killing it off once the previous one is dead. Meanwhile, the tanks throughout this phase just need to be shit hot at picking up the Crushers and the Krogs, which is difficult to do until you learn all the different spawn locations and just get used to the flow and the timings of the encounter. We actually skipped a large amount of Phase 1, so we can't give you the exact order and the exact spawn locations, or go into absolutely massive detail, but do expect that coming from our live guide later on this year once the expansions actually hit. Our advice for now at least would just be kill the Hexers first, then the Crushers, and then just make sure you always have this constant multi-dot and cleave on top of the dogs, just to make sure that they die eventually before they reach 100% energy. And when you've managed to deal with all those ads and you've got the boss down to 40% health, you'll transition into Phase 2.
Now from this point onwards, you'll no longer have any ads spawn, but you could still have some ads from Phase 1, so it's probably best that you finish those guys off nice and quickly. And also as you transition, the boss will knock you back, so don't be too close towards the edge, otherwise, everyone will laugh at you. Now you'll still have the Pool of Darkness to soak, but all other mechanics are new.
I like that. Okay.
To start off, let's talk about Death Wish, because this thing is amazing. Now this debuff is applied to 2 players, just like Dark Revelation, and the moment the debuff is applied to you, you'll lose complete control of your character, and you'll begin to walk towards the nearest edge of the platform. And once you reach the edge, you will jump off, and you will just die. Now this new debuff, fortunately, is dispellable, and when it is dispelled, it will do raid-wide damage and spawn minions
like
of
a
Zul,
Valkyrie.
just like the Dark Revelation spell in Phase 1. So it's important that you only dispel these players once they are near the edge. Now, as both players will need to be dispelled almost simultaneously, you'll probably want to use healing cooldowns for each set of Death Wish debuffs just so you can survive that initial burst. You can, however, delay dispelling between each debuff by simply life gripping one of the Death Wish debuffs back towards the raid. This will give your healers an extra 5 seconds or so just to top up the group. Now, as the debuff will immediately send you to the nearest edge, it is vital that you're pre-positioned, ready to go into a good direction, and this is mainly important because of the boss cleave. The boss in this phase deals more melee damage, but more importantly, it has rupturing blood. This frontal cone applies a stacking dot that lasts 20 seconds. If you get the Death Wish debuff whilst under the boss, you could potentially get hit by the cleave if you're just sent walking through him.
Not good.
Now, the dot itself isn't too bad. The problem is that when it expires, it spawns a giant ruptured blood pool. These pools are absolutely gigantic and apply a stacking dot to anyone within them. Now, whilst testing, we found that you could actually easily stack the pools, giving lots of room for people to deal with other mechanics.
Oh, that's easy.
Our guess is that they'll actually somehow prevent you from doing this on live.
Probably.
So it's safe to say that you'll probably want to slowly populate the edges of the platform.
Oh, that guy just went off the edge.
We do not know exactly
what
the stack number will be now, but looking at the numbers, it'll probably be around the 5 to 6 mark. Now, on top of the tank dot and the pools left behind, the Death Wish debuffs and the pool of darkness to soak, you'll notice that the raid has a stacking dot. Now, the boss will apply these at the start of the phase, and you'll gain more of these if you decided to go and stand in the ruptured blood pools. Now, the amount of stacks you gain is actually based on how quickly you did phase 1. The idea is to do phase 1 nice and quickly before this stack becomes too overwhelming for your healers in phase 2. But then again, phase 2, you probably want to be using things like Bloodlust there instead, because you really want to make sure you get out of the phase before the whole fucking platform is covered in goo. So yeah, that's kind of the encounter. What do we think?
Before we talk about phase 2, we should probably talk about phase 1. The ads initially seem very overwhelming. And I think we spent a good 5 pulls or so just learning exactly where the ads are spawning. And
so the ads right here, one thing I really like about this fight here is that all of the ads that you're dealing with are basically the same mechanics that you see in Underrot, right? Because like the Krogs pretty much do the same thing, right? I mean, not really the same thing, but there's basically melee mobs. And also King's Rest, excuse me, King's Rest. That's actually the one that I meant to say. King's Rest. And like the small ads are exactly the same as King's Rest. This guy is the same as Underrot. And I like how players learn the mechanics in the dungeons and then they deal with the enhanced mechanics in the raids. I think that's a very good way for Blizzard to train players to know how to do things, right? LFR won't have these same abilities. Well, LFR is going to be like, all right, imagine this boss, but there's no ads and nobody dies and he just dies. Right? So like you pull him and he dies. Done. That's it. That's LFR. It's just that easy. And if you don't do that, you get a determination buff so you can do it next time. It's easy. Okay.
A lot of the time, it can be hard to quickly drag him away. So if something goes wrong, normally...
I do want to see the feedback on this because this, I think, is going to be the first hard fight for us. So I want to make sure and see what problems they've run into. And that way I kind of know what to expect. This is normal or mythic? This is, I'm assuming normal, but I don't know.
Gain more of these if you decided to go and stand in the ruptured blood pools. Now, the amount of stacks you gain is actually based on how quickly you did phase 1. The idea and what ad should I really be killing? Because you really want to maximize the amount of time that you can keep these ads stacked up.
I don't know why it doesn't.
Ideally, as close to the boss as possible so everyone can cleave it down, but then you've got to be careful of the blood echoes, you've got to be careful of the giant buff that the crushers give. And because the boss is so difficult to actually position because he kind of stands in place and casts quite a lot of the time, it can be hard to quickly drag him away. So something goes wrong, normally
So these things right here are where the Krogs are going to spawn. So it actually does tell you ahead of time where they do spawn, which is a very good thing.
Actually position because he kind of stands in place and casts quite a lot of the time. It can be hard to quickly drag him away. So something goes wrong, normally it's your own fault. You need to be constantly pre-planning. But once you've got that in your head and you know, okay, these ads have to be here at this time.
I think I might have to tank this boss.
It's actually not too difficult to do.
Yeah, I think maybe I should tank this one.
We definitely could have improved on stacking up those ads. As an example, although you do want the blood hexes to be away from the boss, they can actually be quite close because the Ickers although that they move at like normal.
So one
speed,
hexer's in the front, the other one gets CC
away from the boss,
or stun them, or slow them.
Exactly.
You do so much to them. Okay. So in theory, like when you do have the 2 blood hexes at once, you might even be able to bring one underneath the boss and have one just stood out there with the off
with the CCs.
Because as long as it's
possibly
as long as you're quick with
and
the
then
stuns,
they pull that one,
and
you're not in front of that one because there's a cleave.
With good boss mod timers, you know exactly when the ick is going to spawn, so you could say,
but why aren't they pulling the other one in?
You're going to be doing this stun exactly when it spawns. One thing that they do, I think, need to add is that when you transition into phase 2, the boss very quickly starts doing his frontal clave. And people, generally speaking, in phase 1 are kind of just surrounding the boss. Because you want to kind of be in 4/4 of the room. The boss will normally end up being towards the middle of the room anyway.
No fuck-ups,
so
boys.
They need to give you a little bit of grace period before he starts doing his cleave, I think. Even if it's just 5 seconds or so, because we had so many pulls when we got into phase 2 where, you know, suddenly 3 or 4 melee just have that debuff because they weren't pre-positioned properly. And maybe that's fine for Mythic, but I think for something like Heroic, you need to be a little bit more
considering
forgiving.
the knockback is included as you transition. It's a little bit maybe unfair that they don't give you, like, I don't know, 3
You see
seconds.
that pro play?
You know,
make sure
little
you're not in front
sidestep,
of the boss,
Arcane Torrent, the fuck out of here.
Yeah, phase 2 is very, very interesting. The whole idea of having these giant areas of denial in the room. Because what you need to be thinking constantly is that you do not want the Death Wish players to be running through the pools on the ground.
You don't want that.
Because, you know, they're just going to get an absolute ton of the permanent stacking dot on them. So you've got to find a position for the entire raid to stand in where the closest edge is going to be a clear path, but it also needs to be quite a long path. So it's going to be really interesting to see exactly where guilds decide to tank the boss and how they're going to be placing these pools, because otherwise, you know, people are going to get a ton of stacks, and I can imagine it going very wrong very fast.
And additionally,
so that's just like a softened rage.
Is the fact that it does go on 2 players, and if your raid is stacked, both those people are going to run in the same direction.
Yeah.
So when you dispel one, it's going to instantly deal damage to the other one, who's already taking damage.
Yeah.
And then you're going to dispel him, and it's going to kill both of them.
Probably, yeah.
Fuck them, dude.
You know, like we showed with the footage, using that life grip to bring that person back, so you don't dispel them both at the same time, really does carry that situation. But how many life grips are you going to have?
Well,
so you will need to rely.
Has it now, though.
Yeah, that's true. But you are going to.
Everybody has like a movement
rely
CD.
on that strategy where you are completely stacked. You're going to need some sort of level of like using externals on those people as they move out.
Yeah.
Or even just a bit of luck and hope that someone that's, you know, positioned on the opposite side gets it instead.
We'll just suicide them. Don't worry about it, guys.
Directions. But it needs a lot of coordination.
That'll be easy.
With the dispels. So yeah, it's a bit of a crazy last phase. And on Mythic, this encounter is crazy. In phase 1, ads will just reincarnate unless they have a debuff on them.
And the debuff only lasts 10 seconds, and once it ends, it jumps to a new ad.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little bit like Gorfiend on Mythic.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
With like scenario-style ads constantly.
Mythic is going to be hell.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty rough.
So we're looking forward to that one.
Oh,
thank you very much, guys. If you enjoyed this little preview, then do drop us down a like. Of course, as we already said, there will
you have
be a
to kill the
live
ads in
encounter,
order.
and we will touch more on phase
So that means
1
you have
when
to
we get to that point. And if you'd like to see any of the other bosses,
that means that you're not able to like just CC one of the blood hexers, I'm assuming, because it's going to alternate through them as well. And I don't know if you'd have time to just like keep all of them CC'd out of there. That would be actually insane. So that's Zool. Zool is, I would assume, probably the first hard boss. All of the other ones before this seemed pretty simple, but I feel like Zool is probably going to be the step up with, I would say Zool would probably be the step up. And this guy right here, Mithrax. Mithrax is the one that used, like, he did the beam in the cinematic. Like, I don't think I can show that. Well, I'll show you real quick, just so you guys can see who we'd be fighting, okay? Mithrax cinematic. Look, check this out. Rise, Mithrax. Okay. Rise. So that's the boss right there. Okay, he's pretty big, pretty dangerous, very big, very dangerous. Okay, and then he does this, right? Watch, just a second. Right here.
Long may you reign over your empire of ash.
300 shit right there.
Look at this. Congratulations, Your Majesty. The kingdom is ours.
That dude's like, fuck. So that's the boss. Okay, as you can see, he's really big. And let's see how big he's going to be in game.
Hello and welcome back to Fat Boss TV. Today we're looking at the penultimate boss in Uldir, which is Mithrax the Unraveler.
No, he was
BFA
way bigger in the
testing.
cinematic.
So this encounter rotates between two phases every 25.
He got nerfed, man. Look how small he is now. Whatever, it's fine. Okay, let's start.
% health until the boss is finally killed. The main theme of the encounter is to dodge as many abilities as possible, primarily because of the annihilation stacks.
Okay.
Each time you're hit by a spell, you'll gain a different amount of stacks, depending on what ability hit you.
Ooh.
Each stack reduces your maximum health pool by 1%. The majority of spells you can avoid, however, some you cannot. This acts as a pseudo-enrage, as eventually you'll die simply to having too small of a health pool.
Oh my
These stacks,
god.
however, can be removed one by one using the existence fragments. Every time you gain annihilation stacks, these fragments will spawn around you, typically for half the amount of stacks you gained. So if you was to gain 8 stacks from being hit by an ability, you'll spawn 4 or so fragments. Each fragment, while we were testing, removed only a single stack, but the Dungeon Journal was updated recently, and it does suggest that they're playing with the idea of removing 2 stacks for live. Anyway, with all of that explained, let's jump into phase 1 and see what we need to do.
Now there is 2 different abilities for the tanks to watch out for. Essence Shit is a 30-yard cone that deals a large amount of damage, applies 16 annihilation stacks, and applies a debuff that prevents you from spawning any fragments for 15 seconds.
Oh, so you have to swap.
Now, although this ability isn't cast frequently enough to stack on a single tank, you still do have to tank swap.
You have to swap, yeah, there it is.
This is because we found the tanks need to go and remove their annihilation stacks after every hit, by running around the room and collecting fragments that the raid has spawned. You could technically solo tank this fight, but it would require you to run all over the room to collect orbs, which will force the boss to move about all over the place, which isn't particularly good for DPS. They have, however, since the first test, changed the debuff to be 25 seconds long rather than 15 seconds long. This will definitely force you to 2-tank the boss if they keep the timers the same. The other ability for the tanks is Massive Claw, which for some reason isn't listed in the Dungeon Journal. This is just a cast that deals a shit ton of damage to the tank, and as a result it is a good idea to have a cooldown up for each time this ability comes in. However, providing the tanks do a good enough job at keeping their annihilation stacks as low as possible, this ability didn't seem to be too much of an issue. For the raid to deal with is 3 abilities. First off is Oblivion Sphere. These orbs spawn on random players, and for us they even spawned on the tanks. These orbs charm all players within 5 yards of them instantly as they spawn. Whilst charmed, you take a small amount of ticking damage, but also gain 1 stack of annihilation per tick. Killing the orb
so you need to kill those immediately.
Charm effect from players. You can, however, knock charmed players away from the orbs, which will completely remove the charm effect. We decided to have the raid, including the melee, spread more than 5 yards apart from one another, so only 2 people were hit by the orb's charm, and simply just rotated knockbacks to get those people out. Second up is the Imminent Ruin. This debuff is applied to 2 players, and it deals ticking damage over 12 seconds, whilst also progressively slowing that target. Once the debuff expires, it will deal drop-off damage to all players within 45 yards, and it will also apply 4 stacks of annihilation to anyone within 12 yards. So the key to this debuff is just to react as fast as you can and get far away from the raid. We had each debuff player run to opposite sides of the room, and this seemed to work well. Lastly, in phase 1, the raid needs to watch out for the Obliteration Wave.
That's right.
This ability is cast towards a random player,
and
when the cast is finished, a large wave will fire off in that direction. Although the wave deals very little damage, it does apply 8 annihilation stacks. Now ideally you want to avoid this, however if the raid has been good with the Imminent Ruin debuffs, and if you've killed the spheres off quick enough, there isn't always going to be enough fragments for your tanks to use. We opted to have certain players get hit by this wave, and towards the end of the fight we even had large amounts of the raid get hit, so we spawned an absolute ton of fragments for the tanks to use, so they could consistently have their annihilation stacks low. It is something that you do, however, need to find a balance for, because if you have too much of the raid with extremely high stacks of annihilation, then you're going to have issues during phase 2.
So once you've got the boss to 75% health, you'll move into the middle of the room and begin to take 99% less damage.
99.
Also, anyone that moves too close to the boss will be knocked back. The moment the phase begins, the boss will cast Zolzyak's Awakening. This spawns Oblivion Spheres and also deals damage to the entire raid, also giving 5 stacks of annihilation. From this point onwards, he'll cast 2 different abilities throughout the phase. Visions of Madness will spawn adds on top of 5 random players. These adds simply just spam cast Mindflay. This deals a huge amount of damage and also slows their target. It's listed as an interruptible spell in the Dungeon Journal, but we found out that only stuns worked while testing.
Il'gynoth
we had
Mythic.
DPS swap to these ads immediately as they didn't have much health, and they did do a lot of damage. The other ability to watch out for is the Obliteration Beam. This Ruiner-type beam didn't work while we were testing, but it is listed as a deadly ability, and like all other beams we've seen in the past, no doubt when this one is working, it will probably one-shot you. Right now it does, however, have the description of the Oblivion Spheres in the Dungeon Journal, so perhaps it's supposed to spawn orbs on players that are hit. We don't really know. One thing to definitely watch out for this beam is that the cast time of it is particularly short, so you don't have too much time to react. But providing you keep a close eye on the boss, it shouldn't be too difficult to dodge,
it didn't even kill him.
Boss mods. Now the last thing to talk about in this phase is the two Naraki Destroyers. These guys hit the tanks extremely hard and also have an Essence Shear. They also had an interruptible fear, but this has since been removed from the Dungeon Journal and been replaced by a Void Volley, a cast that just deals damage to the entire raid. In the Dungeon Journal, it's also listed that they take 80% less damage if they're tanked too close to each other, but that wasn't active for us, so we could just stack them up and cleave them down. But to summarize this phase for live servers, you'll want to spread the adds apart so the critical mass 80% damage reduction isn't active. You'll want to out-heal the volley, whilst you also interrupt and stun the Mind Flay visions, whilst dodging the beam that will probably one-shot you. After so long in this phase, the boss will reactivate and the fight will go back into phase 1. You want to make sure that all the adds are dead before you transition back into phase 1, or you're probably going to have quite a big mess to deal with. From this point onwards, the raid damage will begin to feel more spiky on players as people start to gain more annihilation stacks, especially if you save the majority of the fragments for the tanks. We found that anything over, say, 50 to 60 stacks pretty much meant that that player was very close to dying going into phase 2 when the boss does his initial burst. And looking at the changes they made to the ads with the introduction of the Void Volley, it's probably going to be even worse. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how you need to manage those annihilation stacks and what the highest amount you can have before you just flat out die during phase 2. But that's the encounter. What do we think?
So changes to these encounters are coming much faster than we thought. This boss was tested less than a week ago of the date of this video being made, and they've already made significant changes in the Dungeon Journal. So it's hard to kind of give solid feedback as they've already decided to redesign certain aspects of the boss. But we can, however, for the fun of it, just talk about our time with the boss. So phase 1 is pretty relaxed once you've got the hang of it, but it can go wrong really, really fast. And the main reason for that is just the orbs. Like, they have a fair amount of health, so as a result, you're kind of forced to rely on knockbacks to save the players from being charmed and getting a fair amount of stacks. That's fine when you've got like a large raid size as we had, especially if you've got a shit ton of knockbacks from like druids and whatever, but we can definitely see this being an issue if you've got a smaller raid size. So hopefully it's tuned in such a way that maybe only one orb spawns, or maybe just make it so the orbs have very little health so they...
There's going to be like a threshold where if you have like 12 people, 1 spawns. If you have 13, 2 spawn. That's probably what's going to happen. That's what happens every single fucking time. This seems pretty simple. So basically he starts out and this ball management thing, we're probably going to wipe on this boss. I'm going to say that right now. We're probably going to wipe on this guy because people are not going to know how to manage their balls. So you just separate the ads, kill the ads, interrupt the ads, and get the balls, especially if you're a tank. We'll 3-tank it just to make sure that in case a tank dies, we have an extra backup tank, and that's the shear that he does. Doesn't really matter even where you move them. You have to knock people out of the balls. Somebody in chat said if you knock somebody out of the balls and it does massive damage, they fix that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I guess we'll find out. You just kill them either way. It's not a big deal. Yeah. 3-tank? Well, 3-tank works, right? That's why I do it. Is that it works. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, this is the last one. The big dick himself. G'huun.
Hello guys, and welcome.
The big dick himself. All right.
Welcome back to Fabulous TV. Today we're covering the final boss in Uldir, which is G'huun.
Yes, this massive slug has 3 phases, and whilst testing we were only able to see 2 of them. We held back making this video as we was expecting more testing to be done, perhaps even just a normal mode test, but it doesn't appear that's on the horizon anytime soon. Now this, of course, is footage from the BFA beta, meaning that the
look at that mouth, dude. Watch.
On the horizon anytime soon. Now this, of course, is footage from the BFA.
Look at that, dude. Holy shit. So it looks like G'huun is like a gigantic, demonic, undead, or not undead, an old god, uncircumcised cock. That's basically what he is, okay?
Beta, meaning that the boss could change before hitting live servers, and chances are that it will in some small way. The damage, especially in Phase 2, felt super overtuned, and it did prevent us from getting much further into the fight. Okay. We will, however, discuss the last phase and give you our thoughts on how it will play out later in the video, as well as our feedback. With all that out of the way, let's talk about the encounter.
Ooh, he's dead.
So the fight space consists of this large arena area where primarily you'll be dealing with ads during Phase 1 and the boss from Phase 2 onwards. In the bottom left and right hand side of the room, however, there are ramps that will grant you access to paths that head towards a structure at the top of the room.
This is complicated.
The boss hides within this structure during Phase 1 and is only released once the raid has deposited 3 power matrices into it. The power matrix originally spawns on the left hand side and will alternate with the right. When you pick it up, you'll become gradually slowed to the point where you're rooted. You can use your extra action button to throw it to a new player. If they do not catch it by standing in the landing zone, it'll instead despawn and you'll have to wait for a new one to spawn.
Oh, shit.
This is really bad. It's important that you get 3 of these into the structure at the top of the path as soon as possible to trigger Phase 2.
Okay.
Now when you pick up the Matrix, it will also apply a debuff that prevents you from picking it up again for 5 minutes. However, it doesn't prevent you from catching it. So for the first player to initially pick it up has to be different each time. However, the people helping move it down the path and eventually depositing it could be the same every single time. Now, as the slow applied by the power matrix stacks very quickly and cannot be removed or negated until you've thrown it, you need a couple of guys along the path so you can fire it towards each other to safely deposit it. We use mages at first using...
Look at that warrior. Watch this. So you throw it at the warrior.
Now, as the slow applied by the power matrix stacks very quickly...
He takes the gate.
And cannot be removed or negated. And
he does the first charge.
Till you've thrown it, you'll need a couple of guys...
There it is. He's going to do a second charge.
So you can fire it towards each other.
And he does a heroic leap. And he turns it in right there, dude. What a literal god, man. Holy shit.
You deposit it. We use mages at first using double blinks, and that worked kind of well. However, they're not the best by any means. Warriors using Warlock Gateway, double charge, and leap could solo the entire path and deposit it before even being rooted. Mars could do the exact same thing with Chi Torpedo and Transcendence, again with a gateway, and Demon Hunters could also do the job using leaps and dashes. We found that having a single player do the job is definitely a better option than a group of players doing it, and it will definitely be a massive factor in compositions, especially for Mythic. The main reason being, on Mythic, both sides need to be done at the exact same time, and also be deposited within a small time frame of each other. Now, as you probably noticed, these paths are coated in Sys. They slow and deal damage to any players within their animation. The slow can be countered by using effects like Blessing of Freedom, however dealing damage to these Sys will also reduce the ground effect size, allowing people to get through without being slowed at all. However, if you are a warrior, a monk or a demon hunter, these Sys become pretty much irrelevant. Whilst up on this platform you do take unavoidable ticking damage, it doesn't deal too much damage, but it just reinforces the idea of getting it done as soon as possible. But that's it for the platforms. Drop the Matrix into the top of the path 3 times, and Phase 2 will start. We do, however, need to cover what's going on down in the arena below.
So the boss in this phase is just chilling close to where the matrices are being deposited. During this time, he'll constantly heal himself, so it's absolutely pointless damaging him. To watch out for is his explosive corruption. The boss will apply this debuff pretty frequently to a random player, and when this debuff times out 5 seconds later, that player will leave a patch on the ground and fire orbs in all directions. If a player stands in the patch or is hit by one of these orbs, they'll then get the explosive corruption. So if the first guy to get the explosive corruption drops it in the middle of the raid, it's going to get bad fast, with half of your raid suddenly getting the debuff and spawning patches and orbs themselves 5 seconds later. We just found it's best to get the explosive corruption debuff as far away from the raid as possible, ideally against the wall, just to give as much reaction time as possible for people to dodge the orbs. Now, aside from the debuff, the boss will be spawning 3 different types of ads. Blight Spreader Tendril spam cast Decaying Eruption. This interruptible cast deals a nasty burst of damage to the raid. Once the tendrils run out of energy, they'll burrow to another location in the room. We typically just interrupted these guys and nuked them down first. Cyclopean Terrors cast an interruptible Mind Flay. This deals damage over 15 seconds to a random player, and it can get pretty nasty. We did our best to keep these guys interrupted.
This is just phase 1, guys.
Down. And as for the last ad, this is the Dark Young. These guys need to be tanked as they have a large physical damage hit, but also importantly, they have to be positioned correctly because of the Dark Bargain. This ability is cast every time the Dark Young reach 100% energy. It will buff all mobs and players within the circle around them, with increased healing and damage done by 25% for 30 seconds, and it also increases the damage you take by 25%. By placing the Dark Young on top of Blight Spreader tendrils, it simply allows the DPS to kill them off much quicker, as they'll be taking additional damage.
That's badass.
We even deliberately saved the Dark Young so that the buff could be reused on new sets of tendrils, as we valued this buff so highly. You do, however, need to be careful, because if you go for another stack of the debuff when Dark Bargain is cast, you will become mind controlled and the raid will have to kill you off. So you can only have one stack of Dark Bargain at any given time. But that's it for phase 1, you just need to...
Here's how they're going to handle that with LFR. They're just going to make it to where he dies in 3 seconds, so he never even casts it twice. Simple. Problem solved.
Keep on top of the ads, interrupt all their casts, make use of the Dark Bargain. Meanwhile, the guys on the upper platforms need to deposit 3 of the power matrices into the re-origination drive. Once that's done, a re-origination blast will happen. This deals huge damage to all mobs and players every 5 seconds for 25 seconds, and this will also stun and apply a 100% damage taken increase to all of the mobs, including the boss when he's active.
Oh, wow.
It's at this point that you want to stack up, use some healing cooldowns to counteract the damage, and begin to kill off any remaining mobs, although the damage from the blast itself should finish them off pretty quickly.
That's a lot of damage.
Will then reveal himself, and it's at this point where it kind of fell to pieces. The boss absolutely destroys the tanks with Corrupting Bite. This is a stacking buff that increases the damage on his melee attacks, and it only resets when a new tank taunts. While testing, we found if this buff was to go above 5 stacks, the tanks would get absolutely destroyed without cooldowns. We even used 3 tanks to try and keep the stack as low as possible.
Good idea.
As well as resorting to kiting the boss when cooldowns were spent.
Holy
Just keep in mind
shit.
it's extremely unlikely you'll need to do this on live servers, but at what stack you'll need to taunt, we simply don't know right now. A solid guess would probably be anywhere between 4 and 6 stacks. To add to the extreme damage the tanks are gaining from the bite is also the Wave of Corruption. This wave is sent directly from the boss all across the room. It deals moderate damage that splashes 5 yards from every single player, so everyone must remain spread to prevent people from getting comboed. Additionally, it will also apply a dot, and this dot stacks. After the wave has been sent out twice, a random player in your raid will be hit by Blood Feast. This is a 10-second debuff that roots the target. Before the debuff times out, a third wave will go across the room. It's at this point after the third wave, everyone will then want to go and stack on the rooted player. When the debuff times out, everyone within the targeting circle will have their dot removed. However, an ad will now spawn on that location that has 5% damage and health increase for each player that stood within the circle to remove their debuff. This ad is a complete pain as it constantly deals raid-wide damage as well as interrupting
this is
people
complicated.
for 3 seconds each time he casts mind-numbing
Holy
chatter.
shit.
You've got to nuke this guy down as fast as you possibly can. And whilst all of this is still going on, you'll still have explosive corruption to deal with. Aside from that, you'll also need people running the power matrix orbs. We believe that the idea is that when the ad spawns from the Blood Feast, you should be looking at having your third power matrix deposited very soon so you can trigger a blast immediately so that the ad and the boss, which are now stunned for 25 seconds, can just be stunned as you stack and use healing.
You have to do that too?
We didn't get to see that, but looking at timers, it should line up that way if you're fast on the platforms. And you rinse and repeat that until you get the boss to around 25% health, and that's when phase 3 begins.
So looking at the dungeon journal, this does seem to be a burn phase. The re-origination drives will no longer be active, so you don't need to do the platforms anymore. And then the ceiling will begin to collapse,
Look how
creating
fat
large
he
circles
is.
that deal massive fall-off damage. You just probably want to run away from those.
Okay.
Additionally, malignant growths will spawn around the room, dealing seemingly lethal damage to anyone within 8 yards. We assume there should be a bunch of basically bad zones. Move out of those bad zones,
Swirly
otherwise
boys.
you're gonna die. The raid also needs to turn away from the boss in a Yogg-Saron style fashion when Gaze of Gahun is cast, otherwise you are going to be feared for 6 seconds. Aside from that, the boss will continue to destroy the tanks with Corrupting Bite, and the raid will continue to need to move away with the explosive corruption debuffs. Worst of all is that the Wave of Corruption still exists, but the ability to drop your stacks via Blood Feast doesn't anymore, hence why it's a burn phase. You've got to kill the boss before the putrid blood dot stacks from the wave become unhealable. And that's it. What a fight.
Yeah, so let's talk feedback. I think it's a great boss. I think we both agree on that. It's just a massive shame
That's a lot
that
of stuff you have to do, you know?
Opportunity to actually see those phase 3 mechanics. I think the running of the power matrix in phase 1 and phase 2 is an awesome idea, but it does definitely cater to some classes over others, and it might be an issue for some guilds that don't have the ability to bring all these particularly good classes for it. And that's going to be more prevalent on Mythic, where both sides, of course, need to be done simultaneously.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, as for the whole 5-minute debuff you get, it, of course, encourages a rotation so everyone does the job. But it's a bit odd that someone can have the debuff but still catch the orb.
Yeah.
So you can use the same person every single time, but simply have a new person each time pick up the orb and throw it to that designated person to go and run it down to the
that's
drive
so
in the
OP,
middle.
dude.
Also, the fact that that's even possible isn't clear at all.
We had no idea.
Yeah, it was only after like reviewing the footage that we realized that actually happened at one point. And also, we spoke to a couple of friends, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we were doing that all the time."
Yeah, well, we had like a whole group of people on the left-hand side, so like 3 people on
I'll
the
look
left-hand
for
side
another
did the
video of
first
this
set,
boss.
then another set of people did it on the right side, and then a new set of people did it on the left, so that's already 9 people involved.
Yep.
When really you could just have one warrior on one side, one monk on the other, and then just send a unique person each time to throw the orb and get it going.
Yeah.
So that might actually be a better way of doing it, though, just because of smaller raid sizes. If you do have a smaller raid size, say you only have 10 people, and you need at least 2 people per orb, then someone's going to have to do it twice, because otherwise you're not going to have enough of these drives to go through. Because it looks like you're going to probably want to use it 2 or 3 times at least during phase 2.
The drive mechanic is really cool.
You don't want to send the tanks
like
up there either, because, you know, the tanks are doing stuff downstairs. But they could definitely improve, like, how that's portrayed to people. Like, we had no idea. I've been reading the Dungeon Journal since it came out, and I kind of get a gist
Trade? Trade what? Oh! Do I have these? Wait a second. Oh my god! Do I have this one? What? Oh, icy bolts! Thank you so much! Oh my god, thank you, icy bolts. Wow! Oh my god, thank you, man. Your local BFA pet dealer here. Well, I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Oh my god. Wow.
Mechanics work from it. That tooltip's awful. It really doesn't. Like, you can't interact with Power Matrix.
But ultimately, it could also be a bug.
It could be a bug as well.
The way we were doing it is actually intended. We don't know. But moving on to just talking about phase 1, I think the pacing of the ads was pretty good. I think they actually got that right. There was a small moment right at the start where you get your very first Dark Young, and you can just kill him off, and then you have to wait like 5 seconds before ads spawn. But then we realized it's actually better to leave that Dark Young alive, so you can reuse his Dark Bargain as soon as the next set of ads spawn. You can instantly make it so they take 25% more damage.
Smart.
So that was kind of cool. But apart from that, I think the pacing of the ad spawning was actually pretty good. Of course, phase 2 was overtuned as hell.
Yeah, nuts overtuning. I have no idea why it even got to testing and that sort of stuff.
By the way, I have no fucking idea why that's happening. I really don't know why that's happening. I don't know if it's my... I have no idea. No clue. Sound card? Well, that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know.
It was a bit embarrassing, actually, going there.
But potentially, although extremely unlikely, it might not be overtuned.
Oh, yeah, well, this whole hide upstairs strat.
Yeah, so we did have the idea of putting the entire raid, minus the tanks and the majority of the healers, to actually stay up on the upper platforms during phase 2, which means the boss is taking absolutely no damage at all. And then that entire group of people can just run the power matrices, and once they've done 3, they can then drop down because the boss is stunned and not doing any abilities, and you can just nuke him.
Yeah, because while you're upstairs, you don't get hit by the wave.
No, the wave doesn't hit you upstairs.
They'll have to hotfix that. There's no way that's intentional, because there are going to be guilds that have everyone up there, and they have a really good timer for the wave, and you literally just lost it.
Everybody runs up there.
And then
that's
quickly
smart.
run back down. And that just means don't bring melee to the fight. Those sort of things on Mythic are going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
No.
So, yeah, the damage was
I mean, in theory, that strategy does work.
No, I don't like that.
Even if you was to go with like a perfect comp, it's still going to make the enrage on the fight, if that is the intended strat, like 30 minutes long. It's going to take so long to kill the boss.
Jesus
so I don't think
Christ.
that's going to be a likely case.
This
also,
boss
to
is
add
a
to
cock.
that sort of strategy, there are waves in phase 3, and by the sounds of it, you don't actually have access to the paths at the top, so you are going to get hit by the waves.
Yeah.
So unless the waves in phase 3, they decide to make them do far less damage or come in far less frequently,
that's
I don't think that's going to be the intended strategy during phase 2. And also, we should probably mention, which we haven't mentioned yet, the boss's model.
It's so good.
It looks like me when I've just got out of the shower.
Oh, that's disgusting. Oh, nice one.
It's like the first wormy, slug-looking dude we've had since AQ40.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
No, he's a very cool-looking boss. It's actually pretty terrifying tanking him, because he's just so big. And generally, the whole room, like, kind of, it's very well, you know, it does feel like you're in this slimy sort of cave, and you've got all the cysts upstairs. And yeah, it's just a generally really nice-looking end room. A little bit dark.
Let me see if they have another Cahoon video.
There you go, just tell me brightness, and it's an awesome.
I want to test this out and see what it's like.
Xavier's.
This boss is
aside from that, it's kind of
insane.
difficult to comment further on the encounter, really, until we sort of see a more polished and well-tuned version.
Yeah.
Which we hope they do before BFA is released in August.
So I guess that kind of dispels any concerns that Cahoon is going to be another repeat of Xavius. Holy shit. Okay, let me see what the closest fight is. All right, Blood of Gahoon, boss. Who care? Why would anybody care about a boss model preview? Like, why would anybody look at that? Let me see. Gahoon is a what? Oh my god! Look at these. Look at this title, man. Gahoon is a what? Look at this clickbait, man. That's crazy. Okay, is there any other Gahoon? Heroic best. Oh wow. This is 18%.
They said, okay, peace, and then you...
Ready to fucking kick.
We heard some mumbling and then someone left instant.
Okay. Nobody gives a fuck. Alright, so then they're gonna pull the boss. So they've got the 2 ads here.
Pretty far.
And they've got the big boy. So these are the ones that you interrupt. And then there's the big boy. They're alternating him back and forth.
I hate you.
So they're gonna say it? They better not. I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna report them to Twitch if they do. There's a 4% attempt. Is there really? Let me see. Gahoon. I'm not seeing it anywhere here. Where's the Gahoon 4% attempt? I mean, 18% is pretty good anyway, so I think it should be fine.
Come on. No, I didn't get it.
That's it.
Okay.
Kill the tower things and drop them as well.
So they're fighting this guy. So we pretty much know what happens in phase 1. So we'll go over to phase 2. All right, this is the beefy boy. There he is. So there's explosive corruption. People need to move out with that. There's the debuff, and that's the debuff. That's the number 2 that he's got right there.
I don't know. I guess that's preventing you from pre-spreading.
Let's go. Also applies the debuff, so if you're
okay. So then they're all going to stack up soon to clear that debuff. It's really funny.
Okay, stack up.
Okay, now they're all going to stack up, and then this is where the ad spawns.
I got the boss.
So this should clear all of the stacks. And then the ad is like super buffed up.
So far, actually, with that.
And then they kill the ad.
Okay, the next is... Who's next, actually?
Okay.
Next can be Deco.
Deco.
Deco,
okay.
Gotya. Fuck, I need one more.
So you just basically AoE down or cleave down the ad on Gahoon. That's what I was gonna do too.
Are you gonna get a debuff pride?
Okay.
Okay, Deco, Gotya, Pride. You do next on Skull.
Next on Skull. Where's Skull?
Well, no.
I don't even know what Skull is supposed to be.
The one that's just spawned.
So we don't. Well, I have no idea where these guys are from. I don't know.
What's yours?
I can't gateway though.
That's fine.
Oh, that's the power matrix.
Just don't lose the ball, okay?
I
Whatever
see.
you do, don't lose the ball.
Don't lose the ball.
Okay, give it up.
Okay.
You can toss it to me now.
Run out with bad things.
Everybody groups up here. This is the second ball. So there's 2 stacks, then you cleanse, then you have the ad. It's in that order. That's how it works.
No, we're not there yet.
Okay.
Stop.
I'll take it. Okay.
Right.
Okay. We probably don't stack up still, so pop up personal.
Oh, so this is whenever he's in the AoE, I think this is whenever you burn him down.
Next is me and Rokas again, and that
okay.
Wait,
You're almost like imprisoning him and damaging him and killing him.
We just did Skull, yeah.
Okay, Rokas, we're doing blue next, okay?
Okay.
Probably gonna be like...
Are you sure it's gonna spawn on that side?
Yeah, I don't know if it
Okay.
resets actually.
That's on Skull.
Is it probably on Skull?
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. Let me... Just don't insta-pick it, okay? Because I can't really get that far insta.
I can do it in 24 seconds.
Yeah, you'll probably do next on blue then. That's the rotation we have.
Read dono. Okay, I'll read the donation real quick, okay? And then we'll go back to the video. My buddy's a big fan and he's getting married. It would be amazing if you would look into the camera and say, "Dear Jesper and Tracy, I wish you a lifetime of love and happiness. Sincerely, your boy Asmongold," or improvise something. Okay. Dear... It's hard for me to remember the line. It's one line, alright? I was never, like... Alright. Dear Jesper and Tracy, I wish you a lifetime of happiness from your boy Asmongold. There you go. Hopefully that was worth the $4, man. Okay, we're good.
I don't have my dash yet, but...
Why not?
I got Tiger Slash up.
Dear shit. Well, thanks, man. Appreciate the 100 bits. Okay, so then this is the Expel Corruption, and that's the buff there. Okay, and then he runs out, and that's the thing that makes the balls.
Okay,
so that's like Odin balls. Look at that idiot! Oh, he almost got hit. Okay, never mind. Power Matrix is available. So then as soon as the Power Matrixes are available, that's whenever they send the group to go do the Power Matrix real quick. Oh, no. Oh, this guy's gonna go get it. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Wait, was he gonna hit? Okay, never mind.
Let's spread again.
Alright.
Oh, you didn't get the reset map. It's gonna be
Okay. It's, yeah, it's up. Team's not down.
Okay, so this guy's running.
You two should just
Explosive Corruption. So that's not what he's supposed to get right now.
Just heal, I think, because...
Okay, so he gets the ball.
Like, you have fucking 5 stacks.
He's waiting there with the ball. I don't know why he's not attacking the ads, but it's okay. I guess it doesn't even really matter. So they're not even trying to kill the corruption thing. So he grabs it, and he does, I think, Cheetah. He disengages so he can get closer. And then he's just like randomly running.
Fuck. Is there anyone on Discord that can go up?
I don't think they planned this out very well.
I need someone to
So
go
then
up.
he gets that bubble.
Actually,
He's running in as fast as he can.
I'm gonna go in there, Stunk.
The gate? I don't think they had the gate up though. That's the thing.
Yeah, I'm stuck now.
You can't
stay there and you see yourself.
No, it's not about killing them, it's about damaging them down to mitigate the amount of their corruption circle. That's what they're doing.
You can throw it.
Can you get me
Okay,
my
so you win some, you lose some.
Why does it give me both abilities? Shut up.
No. Heal me.
Okay. Me.
Okay, you can give it the lunk now.
Okay, now what?
Next is yeah, we're gonna face it now.
This is where the real content starts. Can you battle res this guy?
10 seconds.
Come on, just battle res the hunter, so we can see what the hell's going on. Okay, so that's the next burn phase right there. Okay. So
next is gonna be Team Kapaya and Skull.
Okay, they're excited right now.
It's gonna be a support player.
When are we gonna last?
Last.
So okay, there is some nice.
We can't do orbs anymore.
Really?
All right, so they're buffing him up.
Oh.
They're deep taking him. Tyra Railgun, thank you much for the 5 gift community subs. Thank you, man.
And then the fear.
Okay.
Fear is like.
Okay.
Yeah, be ready then to watch for something on the ground. Run fucking far away from it.
Okay.
It's everywhere though.
Is it everywhere?
Yeah, it's
not everywhere.
How the fuck is
it? Is like everywhere, and you have to watch which ones are close to bursting. And
So this is where everything falls apart because it's an 18% attempt.
Damage taken reduced.
So watch what happens.
Oh, so you can't cheese it like this by like standing in this position.
Wait, what?
Catalyst might have ruined.
Oh, nah, I popped everything into that.
Oh, so he takes reduced damage.
Isn't it supposed to like break the roof?
Okay.
No, here comes the mushrooms. You see the red shit?
Oh!
Oh, there's like a safe spot.
Oh!
Oh! Dance between like.
No!
Oh my god!
Oh my god.
Wait, how did he get feared?
Wow!
Oh, I faced him. Did he get
That's strange. Holy shit!
No.
Yeah, you can see like this like sections that are cleared and
so,
you need to dance between them.
This is like Brackenspore, and what you need to do is you wait for the because some of them get bigger faster than other ones. So you wait for the ones that are like on the right to pop, and then you go from the right to the left, or from the left to the right. So watch. Here's how it works. So they spawn. Okay. So you've got those right there, and those are gonna explode before these explode. So these explode,
that are cleared, and then you do dance
and then you go over to the other side, and then you don't get hit by the other ones. It's actually pretty simple. But holy fuck. This boss is insane. And also, so you have to face away from the boss whenever he does Gaze of Gahun. So there's like 3 different mechanics you have to deal with, all while at the same time avoiding mushrooms. This is fucking ridiculous. Who knows what Mythic will be? I'm gonna see if they have any other Mythic like versions of these fights. I don't know if they even do. Did they do Mythic testing at all? Gahun raid test. Okay, that's an hour video. I don't want to watch that. That takes forever. Yes, no. Wait, what? There's no way they did no Mythic raid testing. Mythic Uldir. Oh, here we go. Mythic Uldir raid testing. Yeah, this is... Oh, Mythic Zool. I don't even want to look at that. Okay, Mythic Mother. By Stanky Gaming.
So I gotta do a bit of last-minute raid testing, and got to check out Uldir on Mythic difficulty. So this is a 100% random pug that I joined as a tank. Last minute, just picked up the group finder, saw if something was up, and joined this group. So the coordination isn't as good as I would like it.
Yeah, he was in a pog.
That's to be expected. But we managed to see a bit of the fight at least.
Okay.
Not as much as I would have liked, but what you gonna do?
Sneak this on the raid, I like that.
So yeah, Mother TM on Mythic. So my first impression of this fight is, oh god, the coordination. This'll be fun. So the fight consists of 3 rooms. And you need to get across to each room with a few people at a time.
What's the mythic
Every
mechanic?
time someone crosses the gate, the blue gate you can see, everyone takes damage and an ad spawns.
Yeah.
The ad needs to be tanked, interrupted, and eventually killed.
Okay.
If you do not interrupt it, it will cause a wipe. Everyone gets a dot, takes a shit ton of damage, and eventually die unless you get some mad healing going on.
Holy shit.
So the first thing you're gonna notice when you start this fight is her tank mechanic.
So you've gotta burn those fuckers down fast.
It's just a frontal cone which you can move out of, even if you're tanking it. So as soon as she starts casting, you just move right out of the way.
Damn,
as
dude.
soon as she's done casting sanitizing strikes, she's gonna start spawning.
Wait, there's 25 people in the group, so let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Fire all over the floor. And, well, just move out of it. So when the fire spawns, we move through the gate to the second room. And as soon as we move through the blue gate, everyone starts taking AoE damage and 4 spirits spawn.
Okay, these are the ads.
Those 4 spirits will turn into the ads. We stun them, interrupt them, and kill them. And as we're killing these 4 ads, you can actually see them start casting Clinging Corruption.
Can they be stunned?
The ability we need to interrupt.
I bet if they can be stunned, that'd be easy.
It up. 2 other casts go off, everyone gets a nasty dot, and
everybody dies.
Raid just gets decimated from it.
Wow.
So you really need to kill those ads and keep them interrupted. And here we have the winds going off in the second room, so while we're killing the ads, we get blown from one side to the other. And she spawns a couple of beams with a safe spot.
All hard
in between,
CC works on them.
Oh,
that's easy.
To not get
you just kill them.
Cooked.
Oh.
So we tried a couple
that's the mythic version
to deal with the damage when you pass
Holy
through the
shit.
gate. One of them was just popping a spirit link to cover both sides, so we could just throw more members through.
Oh, that's smart.
Right now the tuning on the actual damage you take when
you pass
through the gate was quite low with like spirit link up. So I'm assuming you could send maybe like 8 people over with Spirit Link and Aura Mastery or something.
So those ads die really fast.
Send 5 people over.
This boss seems easy. It's only the second boss, let's be honest.
That high. So I'm assuming they'll tune that up. Otherwise, you're just gonna stack defensives and just throw half the raid through. Just go 20 paladins, bubble and run.
It's a good idea.
And this is where the pug part of it
20
got
paladins.
A tad difficult, because no matter how much you try to coordinate full-on pug, it's gonna be difficult. And these raid tests,
you got that right.
Timers, you
they don't know a damn thing.
Because you just wanna, you know, stress test a bit and see some of the mechanics and see what everyone feels. So the pug part did make the whole coordination part tad difficult. Because no matter how much
that's you guys.
A few of us tried to say only like X, Y, and Z crosses now, there's always someone else who went like, yeah, boy. Went over anyways, and then everyone just died. Or we forgot to stun, or someone missed an interrupt, or whatever. So, wipes upon wipes upon
I don't know why, I think that's really funny.
But once we started to kind of get a grip on it, we sent over like 5 people and used Spirit Link to get on both the sides. It started to go a bit better with the ad part. But then you have some few other mechanics. You have winds going on, going across the room.
You know it's a good raid. Remember, there's only 18 people.
And fires that spawns. It makes DPSing, healing, and
it's a great mythic raid.
That much harder. And then once you get a grip on that and start surviving, well, then the other tank dies.
Oh.
The one who tanks the boss right now.
Because she has the cleave.
I mean, Oh god, the tank damage. I mean, granted, we're in Gear Bliss scaled up.
Okay.
For this raid, so it's like 360, 365 or something.
They had to boot the Yeah Boy. Yeah, there it is.
Heroic gear, I think, so...
They booted Yeah Boy.
We didn't have any asteroid traits or stuff like that going on. But she hits like Argus on steroids, I tell you that much. She just absolutely wrecks the tanks.
She's taking for like 10% your health. What do you mean?
Cooldowns and shit to press, and you just
it's like
die.
That's like 20% health. Just heal him. You just heal the tank. It's easy.
She hits like an absolute truck. As you can see here, I dropped my rune tap for a second. And I mean, the first,
like 30%.
First 2 melee swings she does is on 53, 58k.
That's
and then once
nothing.
I drop it, she has this 108k melee swing, and I had like what 220k HP.
Oh, okay, that is
just
kind
like
of a lot.
half my HP in just a swing. You feel squishy.
All right, that's a lot.
Hell.
Never mind.
Probably a bit solved with some coordination. I mean, if all the healers were on some kind of voice comm and we could get some rotation on the cooldowns going, we could probably send the tank who was tanking the ads back through.
Yep.
And do a tank swap there. Sure, you'd get 2 more ads by the end of one phase, but
who cares? The ads just die.
Wouldn't be that much just to rotate.
The ads aren't even a big deal.
I don't know how this will be tuned in the end, but that was one thing we could have done. But coordinating that was impossible, I tell you. Once everyone is across, all the 20 players are across into the second room. It basically starts over, and the boss takes more damage, and then you got to do it again. Get everyone across to the third room. And deal with everything, and once there, it's kind of a burn phase because you just gotta get her down fast. And I believe she takes 100% more damage in the third room, so you can just pop your bloodlust and whatever. We popped it early just to try it out. But all in all, it was. I mean, it's a
seems pretty simple,
fun fight.
Get her
it
down.
Will be a living nightmare to pug.
You don't pug
I'm
Mythic.
You're not gonna pug Mythic, but still the whole coordinating the.
Look at this DPS, man. Makes me feel good about myself. Everybody's doing like 8k, just like me.
Fun to see pugs coordinating. I mean, I assume it will break a few pugs apart at least. But I mean, the hour I got to test on this fight, it definitely seems fun. Tuning is definitely not where it needs to be. Either that or
don't pug Mythic.
Sucked balls, because I mean I tried tanking both the boss, and I mean after like a minute, 1.5, maybe 2, I didn't clock it. I just ran out of stuff to press as a blood DK. It was just you had no runes, no runic powers, no CDs left, no nothing, and you just waited to see that third swing come in and just.
So what is the Mythic mechanic?
Death. But yeah, I mean, if we had gone into this with a full guild group, done some research, had some asteroid gear and stuff like that, it would probably have gone a hell of a lot easier, or better at least. But I mean, it was fun to try it out and to give you my 2, 3, 8 cents on the fight. So you get a quick look on it as well. I will be raid testing a few other bosses just to get a quick look on.
Here we go.
Well, on how they look, how they feel, and some of the mechanics, just to.
So there's ads you have to tank,
but
and debuffs
you
have to dispel.
If you have any questions about the fight or anything like that, just hit me up.
You have to spread out with the debuff. Okay.
I'll give you my.
That makes sense.
Well, whatever I know to my best extent, or to the extent I can. Yeah, that's what I got to see from Mother. On Mythic difficulty in Uldir, the brand new raid for Battle for Azeroth. So, thanks for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit me up if you want to see more videos, and I will see you next time.
Alright. Sounds good. That was a pretty good video. Azeroth, yeah, exactly. Let me see if there's like just a basic how to prepare for Uldir. Don't care about that. WoW BFA and a Holy DK preparation guide. Nobody cares about that. Zul Reborn. Nobody cares about that. I'm surprised people don't have 5 things you need to be preparing for Uldir by Apple Tomato. Okay. Wait, this has 1 view? Should we be the second view? Are we gonna double this guy's view count right now? I'm gonna watch it.
How's it going, guys? So in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about the 5 things that you should be doing in preparation for Uldir. Now, I want to let you guys know before I get into this video, this is a rant style video, so don't expect a lot of fancy cuts or great content to watch. It's really just something to listen to while you do whatever it is that you're going to be doing in game, cleaning your house, whatever it is that you may be doing.
Cleaning your house.
Something for you to play in the background. Alrighty, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So depending on when you're watching this video, Uldir is coming out within the next day or so. Now, a lot of you guys are going to be going in there trying to get normal clear the first night, you know, going for that server first or whatever. This video isn't necessarily for you, but feel free to watch it. This is mostly for the people that are just getting into raiding, or maybe they've raided in the past but they're not too familiar with it, maybe getting back into it, whatever the case may be. This is just a video telling you guys what it is that you need to be focusing on prior to getting into that raid.
Wait.
You know, I remember my first raid.
He is actually clicking.
Really early TBC. I was like maybe 11, 12.
He's clicking really his abilities.
I had no idea what I needed to be doing in order to get on with the other players. Well, now I'm an incredibly experienced player. I know the ins and outs of doing so.
Whoa, what?
You know, I remember my first raid as clear as day. It was in really early TBC. I was like maybe 11, 12. I was really young, and I had no idea what I needed to be doing in order to get on par with the other players. Well, now I'm an incredibly experienced player. I know incredibly experienced player. I'm an incredibly experienced player. I'm an incredibly experienced player. I know the ins and outs of doing so. So this is really what that video is going to be about, teaching you guys whatever I possibly can, passing on the knowledge that I have to make it a little bit easier for you and your guild. So the first thing is relatively obvious. That's gearing. Now, there are a couple of ways to do this in BFA. World quests, mythic dungeons, island expeditions, whichever you prefer, go for it. But in my opinion, the best thing that you can possibly do is raid later in the week if you're going to be raiding that first week. I would be raiding later.
What?
My guild personally, we're going in on Thursday and Friday. We're a 2-a-day guild, but a lot of people are going to go in on Tuesday. Well, I think personally that we're going to have an advantage on the people doing that. And I say that because we're going to have Tuesday, Wednesday, and early Thursday to be farming as many mythic keystones as we possibly can.
I've
already got a group set up. We're going to be going through that as quick as we can, getting as many keys.
I'm not. This is just. It's not a good video. Okay. Like, let's be honest. Okay. Preparing for. Oh, this is a stream. Oh wow, it's a YouTube stream. It's exactly what I want. Gearing for Uldir. Okay, we'll just go back to the mythic ones. I think that's the one that matters. All right, mythic Devour. Actually, I want to see mythic Zool, because I bet this fight's going to be a complete clusterfuck. He's right though. Well, I mean, like, it's just kind of funny though, and really, I mean, yeah, I'll like the video. Okay, all right, guys. You don't have to do that to him. All right, he's just trying to be a good boy. Come on, man. Be nice to him.